Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fallen Kingdom server. Been a little while since we had, I think it was a stream skip on Tuesday, but good to be back. And we are running a little bit low on resources. That is the only thing. So, I don't know if it's more of a Stonks cast today or not. What the play is, I'm not sure if we've got any other kingdoms that are just like, hey, raid us. Caitlin, looking at you. But we could. I don't know if we're gonna get a full hour's worth with a booster of being able to do back-to-back raids. So I'm not entirely sure. It looks like Caitlin is not actually on. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! We don't even have.
How unusual!
We don't even have like what we normally have.
We don't. Oh, that's why I'm a little frame laggy. I forgot I switched my chunk loading to 23.
Oh, well, and you were doing a fun little like robot thing, just with the Discord stuff. So it was like you were like, oh no, but it was like like it was just fun robot. Give me just a second and see if this helps at all. I am
Okie dokie.
Switching to a Western server. Are you there?
I am here. I hear you.
Hey, you sound perfect. Cool.
Okay, great. Good to good.
Anyway, so you're saying we've got a Stonks cast episode in the can here for us?
It may be that way. We just need some more slimy balls and eyes of Ender. So a little bit of a Mines for grindy time, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm all about that Mines for grindy time.
Oh, also, I want to say regarding chunks. Okay, so Kara told me yesterday she does 40 chunks, and then I just was like, no, that's ridiculous. And then I just realized I go into chunk loading settings because I was taking a thumbnail earlier today. You can't even, it doesn't exist. You can't do 40. It goes up to 32 on Java. What the frick? It's a lie.
It's nothing but lies. Maybe did you ever consider the fact that she might be pulling your leg a little bit?
I did. I strongly considered that, but she was very adamant about it, and I was like, that seems not real, but you never know. So, anyway.
I don't know that I really have gone the 40 chunk route, but like it
You're saying you think that might have been a bit too extreme to be a believable claim?
I mean, I feel like there's a way to like edit like outside of the GUI. There's a way to like hand set it, and so it's possible. But like Minecraft is just not an optimized game terribly, and so no matter how much raw horsepower you have, like it's still a bit of a trick to have it working optimally. I mean,
that's what I'm always like impressed with is somehow. Even if you have like the best hardware in the world, boy, will Minecraft test it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's actual like
reasoning for that.
Yeah, like you can look up programming articles and they talk about rendering the vortices and all the things that can be involved and stuff. But that doesn't mean that it's not still like a little ridiculously under optimized. But
sorry, Minecraft devs, we love you. We know it just, you're building on the old notch code that happened a long time ago that was not the most optimized thing. That's all.
And, like it's one of those things that people blame Java, but it's like in a way Java's a part of the problem, but it's not the problem. And, it's just there's a whole lot of angles to it. Mm-hmm. Programming is complex.
Mostly 90-degree angles.
Well, yes. I mean, I have seen an impossible object, though, so...
Mm-hmm.
They do exist, and they can happen.
Mm-hmm.
They leave you feeling
Could
curious
you program
and
a more... Oh, frick. I'm big poison.
No,
Could you program a more efficient Minecraft?
No.
Oh.
I never, like... I was never a fantastic programmer. I was still a senior. Like I could look at it and understand the architecture and like map out how to do things. But my skill set wasn't in the programming itself. Like as soon as you get into like deep level algorithms and stuff like that, like you're well beyond kind of where I had good expertise. What
Uh-huh.
I brought to the table in most of my career was that I could speak both human and programmer, and
Uh-huh.
so I could translate between the two, and
Gotcha.
help communicate customer needs and translate what was legitimately possible versus what wasn't, and
Right.
temper expectations, etc. So
Makes sense.
that was also one reason why I was in the either the lead or the manager role a lot, is just because I could actually kind of navigate both those waters. And I'm sure that there's many who can, but it in my experience, that was a bit of a specialized skill set, and I tried to use it to the best of my advantage.
I have to imagine that for most people who begin as programmers who are, doing the coding, it's kind of like if you work your way up the ladder, you eventually probably get to a spot where you are not doing as much coding yourself any longer.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I reached the
So
point where I wasn't, there's the difference between someone just popped in front of me. I'm sorry, sir.
rip.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's always very scary to see that.
But yeah, no, I had moved to a point where I wasn't a working manager anymore. So I was just pure manager by the end. So, working manager is basically like, hey, you still need to do half the job, but we're going to make you take care of all the other people too, for not much more money. And managers, when they're like, all right, so what we want you to do is to make sure your team does stuff, and then you take all the credit. And you're like, okay, got it.
So does the team not like you very much then?
I mean, it's always been an ongoing joke with me, or at least it was, that I was like, I don't actually do work. I just take credit for other people's because I'm in management. But the reality is that like keeping a group coordinated and on task and aware of the changing needs, if you're in a flexible or agile workspace, takes a whole lot of work there too, And,
Sure.
And people skills and soft skills like that are something that are usually underestimated, in my opinion.
Yeah, people are generally like, I don't like interacting with them usually, so,
Right. And
more power to you for having to interact with them and coordinate them.
And full, like we're talking like algorithm writing devs are even more so than you, like typically speaking. Again, I'm talking in stereotypes. I'm talking in general terms. There's obviously exceptions at every point. I had one of my best programmers was also an artist, and that made no sense to anybody. Like you speak both art and code. This is strange to me, but yeah, it was certainly an interesting time and place, and it's like, after a point when you've been doing it long enough, like you stop caring about what the language is. It's all just, I mean, the language is just syntax. It's all the same concepts, and you have to go about it in different ways. Of course, there are, something advantages to one to the other, but it's like, it stops being, do you know C#? And it's like, can you code? And yeah, I can code. And like, oh, okay. All right. Then, as an architect level, you understand the concepts of how to structure things and put it into place and to make it work. You just have to look up in different documentation what the exact command to do X or Y is.
And when you're asking like, can you code? Is that something you're asking for a manager position or someone who's actually doing the coding?
No, that'd be for the actual coding level. Like,
okay.
But like the kind of the old hats in the development were like people you'd bring on as consultants, and they just work as their own, and they go from project to project doing it, and it's like they didn't care what the language was. They're just like, what do you need me to do? And then what do you write? What's your technology stack? And you lay it out, and they're like, okay, then they just figured out in that language. So that's just part of, again, once you kind of learn how to think in development, then the language becomes a little bit less important in that moment. But I mean, developers go through all sorts of different phases and stuff. I mean, as with any sort of job, you've got your old hats and your newbies, and the way they see things and approach things is very different. When you're starting out in development, you tend to try and see how smart you can make your code, like how like I got all this done in one line, and look at how efficient it is, and everything's accomplished in this one elegant piece.
And then you give up.
Well, no, I mean, and that works, but the thing is typically clever code is not clear code because you have so much happening on one line. As someone who comes in later who didn't write it and doesn't remember, doesn't know why it's doing it, or even if it's you and you come back 6 months later and you don't remember why you were doing something, being able to look at clear code is far, far, far more important than being able to come up with a clever, uses less white space. Because it turns out that, when it's all compiled, the white space doesn't really matter anyway. So,
well, is it like the clever doesn't necessarily mean it's more efficient?
Right, exactly. Clever.
Okay, got it.
I mean, but that's the like I'm kind of talking as like a kind of more of a rookie perspective, but that's the thought or the impression is I did better because I was able to do this all in this tiny, short, small little thing, and it's all does everything that I'm looking for. And
as far as resource consumption goes, it doesn't necessarily mean
no.
better.
I mean, you could implement something in a little bit of code that's horribly inefficient. You could implement something in a lot of code that's incredibly efficient because it all compiles down into binary anyway. And the binary, compiling down into binary is basically like taking the words that you used and then retranslating that into a whole different instruction set that's in machine code that the CPU can read. So it's like
it's always been so impressive to me. Like, I'm sure that if I stuck with computer science in school, I would have taken courses on how compilers work. But it's like, I don't know, it's so crazy to me that people had to write the compilers in order to turn that language into ones and zeros. And how did they do that?
Right. And that's a level that I never went down into. What was interesting, though, is my boss and mentor that for, like a decade or so, he like kind of discouraged some of our devs who were going to classes and stuff. Like he would discourage them away from taking compiling classes. And he basically he was like, look, compiling is a completely different thing from regular application development, and if you take the classes and you learn a lot about how compiling works, you can end up confusing your mental approach to things from the way you should be for the application development. So he was actually like kind of cautioned against it. I don't know enough to know whether that, I don't have the information to back that up as legitimate or reasonable or not, but I did think that was interesting. But
yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense, but also it's like the people who wrote the compilers for these various languages, is it basically like doing Minecraft redstone on and offs and finding a way to like put that into words?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I know it's not quite that level, but there's certainly, I mean, it's a really low level, like machine code is. I can't look at machine code and go, oh, I know what this is doing. Like I'd be like, okay, I can see that it's setting a register in this memory here, but why? I don't know. So it's a whole other ball game, that's for sure. But
it's like, oh man, I just imagine, and it's probably off base, like the big calculators that people make out of redstone in Minecraft, and I'm like, oh, so is that what's going on when people are actually trying to code something or assemble a processor? Is like these tiny little ones and zeros that are at microscopic level now with our technology, but like it had to start with larger ones that then those machines could make smaller ones, and then those machines could make a smaller one and a smaller one, so on and so forth, until it got to where we are today.
I love that you're speaking of it as if like literally there are ones and zeros that are getting shrunk down.
Well, no, but like there are on and off like electrical switches, right, inside of processors.
That's all the transistors are. Yeah, no, and I mean, obviously at some level, every single processor has that to some extent, but all that's primarily implemented through the like the x86 instruction set. Like that's built into the processor, and the processors extend that and speed it up, but they're all doing kind of that same basic thing, and they can add extensions to it, which is where like your SSE and stuff like that is to say, hey, we can do certain things even faster on the silicon of the chip. But ultimately, they're all implementing that x86 instruction set or the ARM instruction set, or I think Apple had their own with the PowerPC stuff. Like that's at the processor level. I mean, compiler level is taking higher level languages and putting it into the machine code, which is using those x86 instructions and then sending them to the processor. As far as I am aware, and I'm pretty sure that's close, if not correct. Again, this is when you get to that level, you are well outside of my area of expertise to where I theoretically have some idea of what I think is going on, but I am open to being wrong as well.
Well, I have no idea about any of it, so I am very wrong about anything I say.
Not automatically. But they are not literally shrinking ones and zeros, though. I can tell you that much.
People didn't just write ones and zeros on a piece of paper and then like put a shrink ray onto it.
Now that we have the faster the processor, the more the shrink ray applies.
Yeah. And then when we get to but when we get to like quantum stuff or what have you, then it'll be like an atom that's either there or not there, and it'll be crazy.
Well, and sometimes it is there and not there at the same time, so that's where it gets really tricky, right?
I thought that wasn't the atom, that was like the electron position or something.
I don't know. Like, the subatomic computing is well beyond me. But yeah, like I know that quantum is it's a theoretical thing that we're working on. I don't know if anyone's really made a active state, like a functioning quantum computer of some sort, whether it's, I don't know if we've gotten that far, if we're still just theorizing about how it might work.
I am not sure.
But
isn't that's like the limit, right? Isn't there that's what there's like some law, I forget, some law that about the size or the speed of processing that has always increased, or the size is decreased by some amount every X number of years or something, and it's held very, very true for a while. But then don't you like hit the limit once it gets to atom size?
I forget what that law is. Could have told it to you quite well.
Oh, Moore's law.
Moore's
law.
Yeah. So Moore's has been blown away for a long time, if I recall. Like, I'm pretty sure like we that kind of fell out a decade or so ago.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Because we've we just can't shrink things that much more. We are still shrinking things. Like, we're down to 7 nanometer, I think, is our smallest. But we, every time we shrink, we increase the delicacy of it. And then basically you have to be so precise because you can have electrical jumping and like you can't have any of the pieces connecting. I mean, just all the different things. Like, it just gets harder and harder and harder the smaller we go. But yeah, so Moore's law, we abandoned a while ago, but it very much held true for like kind of the heyday. I think it was basically around the race to the gigahertz and the Pentium 4 Athlon XP. I think was when that kind of started falling on its face. But like it was definitely a thing for a long time, and it just kind of looked at it and said, hey, we can do this, but we have a lot of room for improvement, where now we're like, it's so tiny, I can't make it any more tiny,
I did not hear a word of what you just said in that super high-pitched voice, but I assume it was something about being teeny tiny.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, yes.
Okay, cool.
Glad we could understand each other, or not.
Also,
as the case
sorry if
been.
people watching this are like, I'm going elsewhere.
Listen, sometimes you got to get some.
The most interesting conversation ever. Do you want stonks? Then they're gonna be like, no, stonks also boring.
Wow. I've been trying to explain my, half of
I find
my life's work, and you're like, wow, the viewers must be bored out of their mind.
I find it interesting. I just am like, usually, here's the thing. There's an inverse relationship, I think, in many cases, between what I find interesting, what I have a conversation on, and what actually probably the audience out there is interested in hearing about.
Right.
So that's my assumption is always, okay, if it's something I think is interesting and I'd actually like ask questions about it, people watching are probably like, nah. So that applies to like cars and stonks and this sort of thing. Just all things that, like, if I were to make a podcast and it was something that I was aiming to like grow and build into some big thing that a lot of people watched, they're the things that I would not want to focus the podcast on.
If I were to start a podcast, what I would need to do is to have someone else pick the topics.
Yes. I basically need to inverse myself and pick things that I am not interested in because that'll be better for the general viewership and audience retention.
I see.
Actually, to be fair, stocks can work, but not in a way that like I would actually be comfortable with, right? Because most people want to hear about, what's the easiest way that I'm going to make lots of money?
Yeah, I mean,
the thing is, for the people who are actually comfortable doing that, it makes me so uncomfortable because like if you're out there like giving this stock is gonna squeeze guaranteed by such and such a date, you're setting people up to lose their money.
Yeah.
And that would just, oh man.
You were wrong, and
No.
now I have nothing. And it's like, well, that's why it's a risk. Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get that. The stocks are an interesting thing for me because it's like I go through phases where I'm pretty paying attention and involved, and then it's like I hit a point where I'm like, I probably would do better just to let this happen or other people do things. And so I step away again and come back to it at a later time.
What do you mean let other people do things?
Well, I mean, like, just, let the funds do what the funds do rather than me trying to pick stocks and play winners and losers and stuff. Although, I will say that I managed to sell out on a Tesla dip and then buy back in, like, or I sold as it was.
But you sold it was high, and then you
I
bought
sold
it.
as it was kind of starting to tank, and then when it turned back around, I bought back in, and it came back above where it was, and I was like, hey, I just made a quick, easy $40, like nothing major, but usually I end up losing like $10 on those, where I'm like, gosh darn it.
It generally goes that way.
Yeah.
Do you want to... Oh, we could get a little bit more Eyes of Ender, but we actually did get our Slime Balls and Eyes of Ender back up to... Or sorry, Spider Eyes. Our Eyes of Ender and Slime Balls are decent right now.
Okay. So you're saying Spider Eyes are the next?
Yeah, Spider Eyes. So mine's 2. And then we're actually pretty good. We could maybe do a raid or 2. I mean, ultimately, history would suggest you are better off buying and holding the companies that seem too expensive like the companies that you're almost always buying at all-time high, like the Googles and the Apples and the Microsofts and things like that. History would suggest you're better off just buying those even though they're near their all-time high and just holding them rather than trying to individually pick stocks or look for something that's been just completely tanked, because oftentimes there's a reason that it's gone down a lot, and just because it's way off of its all-time high does not mean it's going to go and climb back up to where it was before. So yeah,
right. Unless the all-time high came from Wall Street Bets, in which case you might be in a bit of
well, in which case then you are probably really not going to be getting it back up to the all-time high. So it's I mean, historically better off buying and holding the strongest companies, but it's also people want to look for an exciting what they see as an undiscovered hidden gem deal, right?
Right.
So
everybody wants the riches without the all that pesky effort.
Well, I just think there's a lot of in this day and age, there's a lot of want for instant gratification because of how instantly accessible everything is these days. You can get on your phone, you can order anything delivered to your house very, very quickly. It feels like it's lengthy to wait for 2 days shipping on Amazon sometimes because it can get there even quicker. You could get it delivered to you in an hour from the store nearby, or Amazon sometimes will have same-day delivery in some weird, strange cases. That actually probably happens more now than I even realize. But it's like because of that, the idea of waiting years and years and years for finances to compound is like not very appealing in comparison to everything else. And that's what I think causes a lot of people to go pile on and search for these other things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's there's certainly a patience factor, and as you said in quite a old man shaking his cane sort of way in this day and age, You know, people are tuned more to that instant gratification or that quick, you know. But I think the get rich quick idea, I think it transcends
It's always
the
existed.
current generation.
It has always
to,
existed.
Yeah.
Sure. But it's like I've read comments, and it's not just one. I've read comments from people being like, look, I'm not looking for anything. Like, it'll be in context of, you know, GameStop or AMC or something like that, and they'll be like, I'm not into that. I'm not looking for anything crazy. I'd be perfectly happy with if I got 50% returns each year. I'm just like,
50%
what?
returns?
Yeah, so would literally everybody would be very happy with 50% returns every year.
I'm happy if
You know
I
how
beat
much-
inflation, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's my goal. I would like to.
You know how much 50% per year would be for every year for the last 10 years? You would be very rich.
You're doing quite well, yes.
But it's like that's a lot of people's mentality, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I guess it sets a lot of people up for disappointment, certainly, because there are certain things that they can't really, you can get lucky sometimes, but the instant gratification is usually not going to happen.
Yeah. No, I am thrilled with my investment. Like, you know, I put money here and I just, you know, ignore it and they do things. They've got a time weighted return of around 20%, and I'm like you guys are killing it. Like, you know, like keep it up. I'm loving it. So
Wait, your yearly return is 20%?
Yeah.
Do you have like are you talking about, do you have a pension that's managed by a third party entity?
Yes. And
okay.
you know, it's basically I have both a pension and a individual investment fund, but it's just through you know, if you want to be it's kind of basically a robo investor that does you know, analysis, and you set your risk profile and then they kind of do things from that. But I have both my, you know, my longer term savings and then my the 401k that I had built up from my corporate time in there, and that's you know, the 401k is relatively new to it, but
I assume that when you quit, you took a distribution of your 401k and it's under your management now?
Yeah, quit. Yeah, that's what I did.
Sorry.
When I was promoted to customer?
It was just, yeah, it was, I mean, the timing was convenient though.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it would have been, you know, 6.5 weeks later, it would have been even more convenient because then it would have been me. But no, but so basically I quit, and it was obnoxious for yeah, I just basically had to pay all the taxes on it and got a distribution.
What?
So this is
Wait, you didn't have to pay the 10% penalty though, did you?
No, it's not a penalty, but it's like basically I pay it as if it were. I had to pay last year income on all of that on the entire thing, as if I just earned it.
What?
So basically, 401k is designed for a certain tax bracket, and if you exceed that tax bracket, then it stops being like a lot of weird rules come up with it. And so it's like everything kind of changes once you hit a certain amount. And so the company sets up what's called a rabbi fund, and I'm not entirely sure why they call it that, but that's what it's called. and
Okay.
They can do it in a way that it's like, it's tax deferred as if it were a 401k. It doesn't have the same restrictions on it that the 401ks do with you know, your income bracket and stuff like that. But the drawbacks are the only way you get the, you know, the tax benefit is if you are with that company when you hit retirement age. Like, it's something to do with basically there's no rollover. It's like, and it's because it's the company keeping it in a private form or something. Again, I don't know all the details. You'd have to talk to a CPA and get all that. But basically, because I left the company before retirement age, they just pay it out to me in a distribution.
Oh God. Okay, but you don't get a penalty at least. Like for mine, for my pension plan, like if I wanted to access the money right now, I'd have to pay income tax plus 10% on it.
Yeah, no, there was no penalty.
Okay.
But, you know, and then I did have a 401k that I started with before moving over to this other one. And so that I just rolled over into a personal IRA instead of it being, like a company managed thing, which was like one of those things that they have it set up. My old company had it set up to where it's like I need their approval to be able to roll over. And so it's like I had to contact my company and get them to let me have my money. It was like, this is obnoxious, but I mean, they didn't. They were just like, okay, and just approved it. But it was still kind of obnoxious that I had to go and ask them to let me, please, can I have control of the money I made, But at any rate, it was all a really weird, obscure, like loophole, or at least pit that I fell down into with how all the rabbi fund stuff worked. The other really crappy thing about it is that in a 401k that is your asset, that is your your money. If the company goes under, then that none of that is available to the creditors or debtors, or however you want to look at it, pursuing restitution. But with the rabbi funds, part of the deal is that it's still considered a company asset. And so if the company did go under, then there's a possibility, although typically the judges don't allow for it, but there is a possibility that they might be absorbed into the paying off the debtors and bankruptcy sort of thing. So never was a big fan of that either. But really, I wasn't a big fan of any of it. But it just comes down to at a certain point, 401k isn't intended for certain income levels.
Interesting. I thought you just for any like personal retirement, you're capped at like 7,000 per year. I'm pretty sure, and then if you're over a certain tax bracket, you can't do your Roth. So something like that. But I don't know. I have a pension plan manager.
I mean, I know that's like on my 401k, I was able to. I think basically what it is the companies typically offer a match, right? Like, ideally it's you put in 3% of your salary and they'll match 3% of your salary or something, and then it'll vest after a certain amount of time. And I think at a certain point, basically the amount that you were to put in at your certain percentage exceeds what your maximum donation would be for the year. And so to continue to give you the option to do the match and for them to set that up, they move to this other type of fund. That's fairly wild speculation, but I'm guessing that's kind of why it's structured that way. But there's definitely a cap, and I think it was 6,000 this year, but it changes yearly, of how much you can donate to your IRA or your 401k and whatnot. And so I've made that distribution to my IRA, and will next year, we'll get back on it. But there's certainly, it's not as clean as just, if it's this, then this, and do this and this. Like, there's always tax loopholes and laws and gotchas that, that's why CPAs exist.
Yeah, I wish I could talk to mine. I've been trying to reach him for over 2 weeks, and I don't know what's happening. Yeah, it's never happened before, but he's gone ghost. And I'm like, I have estimated payments due on the 15th, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So,
See, I mean, that's another thing that I just don't know or understand or get or whatever. Is I've mentioned multiple times to my CPA, like, hey, do we need to do the quarterly payments thing to avoid penalty? And he's like, no, you don't and I
wait, he doesn't tell you to do quarterlies?
No, I don't know why. Like, he's like, no, you don't need to do quarterlies. And I don't know the like, most of what I know is like, hey, you're a business and you should be doing quarterly and stuff, but something about where I am or how I land, or either that or he's just bad at what he does, but I've never been charged or anything, like, it just, he's like, no,
I don't know enough to be able to say for sure, but I think that as long as you have 90% of your taxes paid before January 15th, you're okay. I think.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like I might have gotten penalized before because I didn't pay enough in one of my estimates, so that doesn't completely line up.
Yeah.
So
I don't really know, and it's something that I plan on asking again when we look over stuff. You know, and I was like, hey, you know, this whole figuring out, you know, like at the end of the tax year, me having to go through and do all of my put my books together and everything and send it over to you, and you know, I sent him basically a Google spreadsheet with all my expenses, all, you know, all of my income, everything that's there. And I'm like, you know, it'd be really cool if, like, you know, I could pay you to do this. And he's like, sure, we can do that. And he's like, you know, do you want to do it monthly? Do you want to do it quarterly? Do you want to do it bi-yearly or just once a year? And I'm like, well, I mean, you know, what do you recommend? And he's like, it really depends on how you run your business. You know, if you feel like you need to know where things are at a month-to-month level, then we can do that. But that's going to cost you more. He's like, you know, the less you have us do the books, the cheaper it is, because then we can just open it up, go through everything, and do it all in one fell swoop instead of like returning to it, reorienting, and all that. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you know, he's like, I know that you don't happen to, you know, basically watch on a month-to-month basis, you know, how my P&Ls and stuff like that. Like I follow my finances in other ways, and he's like, so I know that you don't need that. Like he's like, honestly, what I would say is, you know, we'll just do it once a year before tax time. And the first year we're going to have a ton of questions of what is this, what is that? And you know, we'll get to know each other pretty well as we talk through everything. And then, you know, the next year won't be as bad. The next year won't be as bad until we basically know exactly what you're doing. And, you know, you just send us the receipts and things, and we get it done for you. So, but again,
cool.
You get into, you know, tax world and CPA world, there be dragons, you know, like that's someplace that if anybody is thinking about doing their own business and making any sort of reasonably measurable income, then get a CPA who knows what they're doing.
Don't make money. It's ill-advisable. Yeah, money, mo problems.
Every time you make money, you just have to pay more taxes. So it's like, just don't do it.
Life is simple when you are on a W-2 and you get a tax refund at the end of the year.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah, the first year that, you know, like I did well here, and was like, hey, I might be able to make this, you know, my full-time thing. It was like that first tax bill was like, oh,
never mind.
Oh, never mind. Well, I had savings, not anymore, you know, and now it's like pretty much just anytime anything pays me, I just take half and just immediately put it into my savings account. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to see that for very long, so yeah, that'll go bye-bye. I mean, and obviously,
I just kind of expect that everything I make goes to the government. So then, therefore, if the account balances go up, I'm like pleasantly surprised, you know?
And I'm not one that, like, I'm not resentful for paying taxes. Like, obviously, no one wants to pay extra taxes, but it's like, you know, I use services and I do things, and I'm like, you know, pay my share, and you know, but yeah, that first time when you're like self-employed and you realize that quite a bit of your paycheck from a regular company goes to making it so you don't have to pay anything at the end of the year, or only have to pay, you know, what we would now consider a small amount versus like your full year's worth of tax burden.
Yeah. Yeah, we should say, like, you know, when you hear the things about, like, I don't know, the rich pay no taxes, we should clarify that's for people who have a high net worth based on their ownership and shares in a company. If you have high income, you pay lots in taxes.
So yeah, it's basically, you know, where you know, the way that I describe it for myself is I'm lucky enough to make enough to not get any sort of governmental support, and I'm unlucky enough to not make enough to be able to take advantage of some major tax hole that gives me the loophole that gives me all the ultra rich breaks.
You want to be super rich, to where all of your wealth is tied up in massive ownership in a company that you can then sell whenever and pay cap gains on that, because it's not ordinary income at that point. There you go. Yeah. That's your ideal situation right there. That's what you want.
And I'm not quite there in my life's journey yet. So really, it's like, you know, again, The way my CPA said was, he's like, obviously, deductions, and there's a lot of different things that come into play, but he's like, for just straight up rule of thumb, he's like 35% from for federal and 10% for state, and you should have everything covered by the end of the year. So as long as you keep that 45 set aside, you'll be fine. And it's like, like take your paycheck and then take half of it away, and that's our taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is, and again, we live in a society, and
We do indeed.
I like being able to call the fire department if I need them, so I'll do what I have to do.
No, that's. I am very happy to have the fire department as someone who's had their neighbor's house catch fire and been like, oh, my house is going to burn down.
My
now.
house
That's
is
pretty
right
cool.
there. That's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think we're pretty good on resources now. I don't know how many spider eyes you have accumulated, but
I had no idea until you asked, and now I find that I am 2.5 stacks.
yeah, I think we're actually pretty good on the old resource department currently. Looking
You want to
pretty swift.
get a raid or two in before?
We could, or we could try to 1v1 each other or something like that. I don't know.
Take
I
me
just don't
back
know
to
if
the-
we want to do like a raid booster with
No.
you know, half-
I don't think a
half-life.
booster's worth it. But are you
Yeah.
doing okay? Are you?
Huh?
Is there anything we need to talk about? Are you all right? I
What
mean, it's just
happened?
usually when you want to 1v1 me, it's because you're looking to raise your self-esteem in some way and utterly crush me and feel better about yourself. So I'm just wondering, are you okay?
No. But actually, yes. Actually, I'm great because like all the stress. Well, I think I mentioned this already, but like all the stressful stuff that I had been doing with like a bunch of sponsored stuff happening.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all. It's all done.
Oh, you got it all
And
done.
actually,
Nice.
my digestion has been slightly better and improving over the last couple days, and so maybe it's coincidental, but it seems like actually the stress reduction has allowed my intestine to untangle itself a little bit, at least.
To untangle itself.
Yeah, it was probably just like really tangled up and then knotted itself a little bit, and then it was like, oh, bathroom time's not fun. So, yeah. But I'm just looking to hopefully make my schedule like emptier and emptier outside of times that I'm gonna record or stream. Basically, ideally, fill the schedule up with streams and recordings and paying estimated taxes if I ever am able to get in contact with my accountant. But I'm really at the point with that where I'm actually gonna have to like call other people and be like, "Have you talked to him? Like did something?" I'm like, there's
did
part
he
my
die?
mind is like, well, no, because I called the office the other day. And I was like, is he in? I've been trying to reach him for 2 weeks. I've called, I've emailed, left messages. I really don't know what's going on. And the person at the front desk was like, I think he's in on another call. And I'm like, has the call lasted 2 weeks?
Yeah, like, I mean,
What is happening? So I'm no, but my mind is like wandering and racing and like, is the IRS like suing me or something and he's not allowed to talk to me or comment on something and like is there an issue there? Like am I being audited and he's not allowed to talk to me? Is there something I don't know? I'm panicking. What's happening?
You sound
What's
like
going on?
You sound like you're
Oh,
panicking
God.
a little bit, like
Yeah.
dial it back. Keep your head. But yeah, no, I get that. I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable if mine wasn't accessible when I needed him to be. I actually, he tends to, this is weird, but he charges me at a discounted rate because I just always make sure that it's like whatever I take to him isn't pressing unless it absolutely is. And so he's like, honestly, like, the fact that you're willing to be flexible with your questions and things that you come up through the year and work with me, he's like, that's invaluable. And so he'll, we'll have an hour call and he'll bill me for 15 minutes kind of thing. And because I told him, I was like, yeah, no, he's like, do we need to talk right now? And, or can I wait a couple days until my schedule clears up? And I'm like, sure, a couple days is fine. And then, so he just is always, he genuinely expresses appreciation in both, verbally and financially that
I talk to my accountant a lot.
Flexible.
Maybe he just like
he's like,
doesn't
bro,
like how
I
much
need,
we talk.
I need space. I need space. bro.
Maybe that's it.
It's
He's
not.
like, okay,
it's not
we've been
me.
talking
It's you.
Because that's what happened. We were talking a lot, and maybe he was like, "Okay, that's enough of that. I need a break."
It's like, there's only so much. Man, I suspect not, but you know, like maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the conversations
boy.
go. Mine is like, hey, I put in a really expensive solar system. Can I get that discounted? But I know that's for the next tax season. You're busy, so whenever. And you know, he's like, yeah, we'll talk about that next year. It's like, okay, no problem, man.
Yeah. Oh, we might need more emeralds.
I have a 51 on me right now.
I know. I saw them go down in the chest, so I know you took some. So we still
have no
need more.
hat. I have no
We still
hat.
need more. Yeah. Oh, you made a hat? Yeah, my hat's the lowest too.
And my boots are almost done too.
Yeah, we're gonna need some more emeralds. I didn't realize we were lacking there.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, anyway, I'm concerned. I'm like, what if the government is coming and I don't know and he knows something and something bad has happened. To be clear, I've done everything I've ever been asked for tax-wise, okay? I have never done nothing wrong. Or never done anything wrong. Never done nothing wrong with me.
But
I
you're
have done
still
something wrong.
paranoid about having done something wrong.
Dude, I'm so paranoid that like, cause I get letters from the IRS about like such and such payroll didn't go through. You owed some penalty or some like silly stuff that's not even my fault because it was the payroll company, right? And so I'm just paranoid that due to like some mistake of theirs, they're gonna be like, actually you owe $10 million, and I'm gonna be like,
well,
what?
I'm gonna have to. I mean, I'll have to cancel my next car buy. That's terrible.
Yeah, but I just see. It's like it's on one hand, it is incredibly impressive that if you underpay by like $5, probably, I bet they would notice it and come after you. But on the other hand, I'm terrified that they're gonna mess something up and come after me for massive amounts of money because I don't know. But on the other hand, you could have like the fact that Donnie's tax returns were never leaked ever is like incredibly impressive from a security standpoint to me because every person in the world would have been going after that and it was never leaked. And that's wild. That's wild to me. And I think it's good that it's that secure, but it's like there's these opposing viewpoints on my end, you know, where I'm like, I'm paranoid, but also it seems like they catch the most minuscule things, so hopefully they'd be accurate with it, you know? Anyway.
Yeah, I like, you know, I haven't been through. I've been through a Department of Homeland Security audit, but I've never been through a IRS audit. So
I haven't either. Wait, you've been through a Homeland Security audit?
well, not personally, but in my previous life, I worked at an employment agency, and so we had literally tens of thousands of employees, and it was probably like the crown jewel of what you know I brought to the company over my years was that I got my team to implement a custom I-9 built-in integrated system and working directly with the IRS. And it's
wow. Okay.
And we ran that, and we.
So you needed to be they needed to be very sure you were not a spy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and no. This isn't a background check. This is
okay.
like, but so basically, at one point.
By the way, you want a 1v1, mate?
Sure. At one point, one of our branches was found like something was non-compliant, and a lot of this had to do with like E-Verify as well, and all of that. So I-9s, E-Verifies, and you know, basically work eligibility. And
I have created the arena in Hub 1.
Hub 1. Let's see if teleporting to Hub.
Talk to Jason.
Hang on, let me get. One of our branches was non-compliant, so they came over and were like, okay, we want to review everything from this one branch for join Sparkles. There we go. Trololo. We want to see every I-9 and E-Verify and everything that goes into it that you've done for this branch. And basically, we were able to produce about like something like, you know, somewhere around the 25,000 records the day that was requested, and then I spent a couple days writing up like how the system worked and what the implementation details. And so had it done in about a week, but it took the branch with their paper stuff somewhere around 3 to 6 months to be able to resolve everything. So there was that was kind of like one of the nice things that I managed to do. But anyway, it just so I've had the Department of Homeland Security, because they were in charge of eligibility and whatnot, like all up in my grill, like explain yourself, what's going on, and I'm like, this is what I'm doing.
Oh, so, that looked like it was gonna hit me, and it didn't somehow.
That one looked like that was gonna hit me.
Let's go, let's go. Come on. Oh, he jukes. And he jukes.
Ow.
Oh, let's go.
Damn, that hurt a lot.
Let's go. Let's go. I like it when it hurts.
No health. You missed.
Oh, what the how did I miss that?
Okay.
Let's go.
It's like 3 hits kill. Oh, I probably should have
keep in mind you have an apple.
Yeah.
Steak.
I was like, okay.
Oh man.
Oh man. Did you see what Igor tweeted on the 10th anniversary?
I think so, but feel free to
he
remind me in
he
case
said I feel
missed.
like I should come clean. I was saying oh, that actually hit you and then like didn't. He was like I should admit I was saying
yes,
yeah,
the lyrics were actually oh man. Yeah, that's indeed.
And then Bridget's like, "What?"
I mean, that is definitely what I wrote down on the on the thing. But it sounds like, oh man.
It really does.
So,
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do more tridents, or do you want to do elytra hose?
The elytra one I'm not a huge fan of, but
okay.
Do you feel better now, though? Like, I mean, that was a pretty decisive victory. I'm not sure
Until I talk to my accountant, I don't feel good.
I'm not sure I hit you at all. Like, just flawless victory. Look at how great you are. Just think.
Until I have spoken, get back to me when I've spoken to my accountant, and my stress will be relieved.
Another 15, 30 MCCs, and you'll win one soon. I know it.
Uh-huh. I thought you were going to say another 15, 30 MCCs, and your accountant will get back to you. It's like,
you seem a little preoccupied on that one.
Prison by then, if he's not gotten back to me. So let's hope he has.
Right. Well, I'm hoping for you. Ow.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Where are we going?
I don't know. Let's go. Let's go. Oh no, he hits! He gets the hit! How could he hit?
Well, it was a matter of aiming and placement. Man, one hit and you're downing your golden apple.
Why wouldn't I? Oh, frick.
Ow.
Oh no! He's getting the shot. Oh, that was the one where it hits and then doesn't. I've gotten it too now. Oh god! Help! Oh no!
I was down to half a heart and just didn't.
You had half a heart?
I was at half a heart.
Oh my god. This should be the newest MCC game mode.
Yeah?
Trident Wars.
Whoo!
Get back to me, Trident. It's circling me. Help!
That was convenient. Ow.
Yeah, it was. That wasn't so much. Oh no, he gets the shot predict. Oh, frick.
Yep.
Oh no! I really thought that was going to be the one.
Whew, that was close. But not close enough.
Oh!
What's interesting is it's like you catch it and then you stop for a second.
Yep. Frick.
Yep.
What? That was in your freaking face.
In your frickin' face. Oh, that was over your head. Yay! Oh, that was... I just panicked at my own trident coming at me.
Dang it. Ah! I'm getting so many of those instances you were talking about where it like looks like it's actually hitting you, but then it does not. Oh, frick me. Oh no! It's not good. It's not ideal.
Yikes!
It's quite poor.
Quite poor.
I must seek cover.
Okay. You seek your cover. Get them heals. I mean, I still see the,
believe it.
I still see the particle effect, so, you know. Ow.
There we go. There we go.
Go for the little hippity hop.
Yeah, dude. Jump shots. Oh! Did he get the eat off?
Yeah.
There we go.
No, I got it off. Your shoulder is very threatened right now.
Ooh. Frick! Oh no! He's getting aggressive. He's getting aggressive. What? What? Oh,
Yeah,
what a close one.
The eat
That was so close.
is like murder.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary eating.
I mean,
What a
I
round.
basically just wanted to, you know, get you from hiding like a little pansy behind the tree.
Wow. He is insulting of the strategery.
Wait, no, that's right. I mean, I hope you're feeling good. That wasn't a bad throw. I mean, it wasn't a great
No, it was
throw
pretty
because it
close.
didn't hit, but I swear to God, that one like hit your trident.
No, that's happened to me several times. Sometimes it really does look like it's gonna hit.
Okay, that was a bad throw. It's like, yeah, nope, that was just bad. Whew.
Game of Crouch. Oh, frick! He got me.
Oh, frick.
Man, this is some serious competition here, dude.
No, I'm like sweating bullets, leaning in, full gamer face. Can't just 100% committed.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. I took off your nose.
come on.
Super cereal. This is important business.
It is.
Ding. Hey, our pig's fully grown, though. What? It bounced off. It
No!
bounced off your braid. That one bounced off your thing again.
No.
What the goodness gracious me! Owie.
There we go.
Owie.
No. That was the same freaking frick.
Ow.
Come on. No.
Ow. Don't hit me with your trident. That's mean.
Sorry, I forgot the objective is to miss.
I mean, seems like the nice thing to do.
Frick.
It's the gentlemanly thing to do.
What you doing?
Honestly, I was just kind of chilling, just seeing how much I could make you dance.
God dang it.
Ow.
Oh, were you out of your mind?
I am, in fact, out of my mind. I have next to no health, near death.
What the health? Oh, that was almost a Hail Mary right into your Achilles tendon.
Whew, that was close. Right into your Achilles tendon. That's a weird...
Frick.
I mean, you really only need one hit, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know. What's your health?
1/2 a heart. It's been that way for a while.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's all you got.
Ah!
Just finish him.
I'm trying.
I'm trying.
What? At what? If he comes back on this one, it's going to be really,
I have
really
no idea what
embarrassing.
your health is, so...
Not a 1/2 a heart.
Good.
Oh, my God. I'm choking so hard.
Nice.
There we go.
There you go.
Woo.
Finally.
GG.
Woo.
GG. That was intense, bro. That was mega intense.
Good. Good.
Intense?
Intense. It was the intensest we've ever intensed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Well, we have hit an hour.
Yeah. So next time we should be all geared up and ready to do a full set of raids.
I believe that to
Get
be the
some
case.
good stuff, and hopefully people have enjoyed the podcast and the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, my throwing an epic PvP skills, of course. But are you ready to do the wind down?
Yes, indeed. Go right ahead.
All right. Well, as we've said before, we want to thank our sponsor, MC Pro Hosting, providing the server. No, oh my God, I'm in default mode. Excuse me. We would like to thank our sponsor, Fallen Kingdom and CaptainSparklez, who are providing the server, but have invited us to join and play. You guys can come and play with us at play.fallenkingdom.co. Be sure to join with a Java 1.14 on up client and build up a kingdom. Get to Castle Level 3. Give us all your gold. You know, the usual things that we appreciate and ask of you. But you could also have some fun, make some friends, and enjoy the awesome community along the way. We also would like to thank our series sponsor, our ongoing sponsor, MC Pro Hosting. If you're not playing Fallen Kingdom, then play with your friends using one of their servers. You can get a link to inside of our descriptions to save 25% off on your first month, or use our codes, and then that will also go to help and support us, and everybody wins, and we appreciate that. Same description as a link to the playlist. You can catch up on any episodes you might have missed. And then we're here doing it live as it happens. You can see it as it goes. Twitch.tv/CaptainSparklez and Twitch.tv/Zine. Throw a follow, see all the content you missed that doesn't make it up onto the YouTubes. Anything for you, sir?
I'm crushing the slime jump. I just wanted to announce that it's just
destroying it.
Also, I made extra unalivemen swords because I'm a team player. But we do need more emeralds, so...
I dug some emeralds and brought like 20 or 30 in, so...
Okay, cool. I have not, but I'll do it at some point.
Apparently he's still working on my emerald helmet? Like, what the... Okay.
Oh, yeah, it takes a little while. I queued up the swords, and the swords take a while and stuff like that.
I see.
That's what's going on. Oh, yeah, look at all those spidey eyes and slimy balls and eyes of ender. Nice stuff. Very nice stuff.
Very nice stuff. All right. Bye, guys.